With that being said, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna get started. We're gonna dive right in. We were supposed to do the Torah portion, which Cynthia so wonderfully sent out. We were supposed to do the Torah portion, but as I was getting into the Torah portion, I was given a sidebar, which I thought was going to be a sidebar. It was going to be something short, something quick and simple, but it turned out to be something way more deeper than that. So instead of doing the Torah portion this week, we're actually going to go into a lesson, and it's going to be kind of deep. So I'm going to need you guys to follow along. And as usual, if we're moving too fast, feel free to tell us to slow down. If something you didn't understand, you need more clarity on, please say that. But this is one of those. This is one of those ones for people who don't understand or who cannot see prophecy, right? Has everybody heard in the news or seen in the news or heard on the radio about China's artificial sun?
Yes.
Right? What did you hear? What have you guys heard about it?
That they launched their own sun, which probably was manufactured somewhere in a hidden underground or something, because from the pictures that I saw on Google, it was, I don't know how they launched it. It just appeared up in the, it was just appearing up in the sky.
Okay. Mariahu, you said you saw it too, or you heard about it?
Oh, yes, I did. Actually, a few months ago, Aliyahu sent me a video of two suns in the sky, and we were asking questions then, but just recently we discussed it. And when I read the article, I think it said it stayed in the sky for 7 minutes, I believe. But I questioned then, where did it go?
Right.
After, where did it go?
Right. Did it just turn off?
Right.
Oh, has anybody else
And
heard?
then I think, I'm sorry, I think in that it was hotter than our actual sun. Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely, I think, people saying it's between 5 to 7 times hotter than our actual sun.
Mm-hmm.
So has anybody else heard anything about it or read anything about it? Okay.
I have fake news.
She said fake news. Okay. Shabbat shalom, Jania.
Shabbat shalom.
So, Jania, I was just asking the group, have anybody heard about the artificial sun that China launched like a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago? Have you heard about it?
Yeah, I heard about it. I heard about the other one too.
The other one, the other
artificial sun and artificial moon.
Okay. Okay, so everybody has heard about it, right? Well, not everybody. Celeste, I saw your message, and I'm going to show you some stuff in just a short while. But this is something that I want you guys to see. Matter of fact, let's do it this way. We'll do the video first. All right, I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Where'd it go? Oh, wait, hang on 1 second. 1 second, let me get it. There it is. All right, everybody can see my screen, right? I'm gonna share this video. So unlike anything that becomes major world news, we'll hear about, we heard about Kyle Rittenhouse for months. You heard about Ahmaud Arbery for months. You heard about Mike Brown for months. You heard about the bomb strike on Iran for weeks, if not months, right? We hear about all these major world events. We hear about them here, and they're pretty much well covered. You're not going to find a lot of information about this here. You have to go digging for it. This comes from, I don't even know what this news research, this whatever this publication is. but they put out a video and explaining it. I want you guys to watch something. And I want y'all to pay attention very closely to what you hear.
Pollution is among the biggest challenges that China faces, and to counter that, it has commissioned its super powerful nuclear fusion reactor research facility called HL2M Tokamak. Given that it operates at a temperature 10 times more than the sun, it has been dubbed China's artificial sun. The artificial sun is China's new generation and most advanced nuclear fusion reactor that was powered for the first time on Friday. China is one of the world's largest economies and is heavily reliant on industries, making it the world's largest contributor to carbon dioxide emissions. In 2018, the country produced 0.06 billion metric tons of the greenhouse gas, according to a global carbon project data released in October this year. To significantly decrease its carbon emissions, the country is relying on this nuclear reactor to produce limitless clean energy. The tokamak operates at 150 million degrees Celsius and uses the nuclear fusion process just as in the sun, and this method is considered the holy grail of energy. HL2M is China's largest artificial sun with the best parameter. Zhu Min, director of the institute, told Xinhua news agency. The sun produces energy using hydrogen and deuterium gases as fuels through the fusion process. In nuclear fusion, atomic nuclei are merged or fused to create massive amounts of energy. The amount of fusion energy a reactor is able to produce is directly proportional to the number of fusion reactions taking place in its core. The larger the vessel, the more is the potential to produce fusion energy as the volume of plasma is large. The ITER tokamak is designed to produce 500 MW of fusion power from 50 MW of input heating power. The new facility has a magnetic plasma confinement time of up to 10 seconds. HL2M tokamak has 3 times the plasma volume and 6 times the plasma current intensity compared to previous version called HL2A. China's state media, the People's Daily, calls the development of nuclear fusion energy a means to meet the country's energy needs. People's Daily also wrote that it had great significance for the future sustainable development of China's energy and national economy. China plans to build an experimental reactor as early as 2021, build an industrial prototype by 2035, and begin large-scale commercial use by 2050. Nuclear fusion is preferred to nuclear fission, in which atoms are split into 2 or more smaller nuclei. The benefit of using fusion is it does not create radioactive waste and poses less risk of accidents or the theft of atomic material. The limitation of fusion technology is it is difficult to achieve and enormously expensive. The total cost of International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor ITER is estimated to be $22.5 billion. The ITER being built in southern France is designed also to operate at up to 150 million degrees Celsius. China, the European Union, India, Japan, Korea, Russia, and the United States have combined resources to
I'm gonna play that part one more time so you can pay it. I want you to hear something. I want you to pay attention.
Celsius. China, the European Union, India, Japan, Korea, Russia, and the United States have combined resources to produce the boundless energy that fuels the sun and the stars as members of the ITER.
Okay. So This was somewhere in India. You can tell by the way the lady's speaking. Somewhere over there in East Asia, in that area.
Hey, before you start, I recognize the young lady's voice, the reporter's voice. In India, is there's a news station over there, and they put out a lot of troops. I'll try to find that for you and put it in the chat. And they also talks about the vaccines and what's in it and all this other stuff. So I'll try to get that information to you for you. I just want to get that before we start.
Okay, total. So that helps. So this source, or that news publication or broadcast network, whatever it is, they giving out information. They're telling you what's actually happening. So from we were getting some of the information and some of these Google images that we see of, like, because somebody showed me recently a video of a bunch of people standing outside taking video of this sun being launched, right? Think about what the lady said. If this thing is burning at nearly, let's just be conservative, at nearly 140 million degrees, that's Celsius, not Fahrenheit. If it's burning at 140 million degrees, that's the temperature from it. There's no way you could stand anywhere near that thing and shoot camera footage. Think about how hot your oven gets, and at 400 degrees, when you open the oven, it's unbearable, right? You got to step back. For those of y'all who wear glasses, your glasses fog up immediately. You can't stand that close to that. That's only a few feet away from 400 degrees. Imagine trying to stand half a mile away from 150 million degrees or 140 million degrees. Instantly, you'll burn up. So those videos that you're seeing of them putting this ball of fire in the sky, that's not real. That's impossible. Right. And I believe that's what my mother-in-law, what Miss Belinda was saying when she said fake news, right? When you see some of that stuff and them putting this stuff in the sky, in the air, that's something else. That's somebody who's really good at Photoshop, who knows how to play with videos and things like that. What they are actually doing is trying to come up with a clean energy source for China right now. They're basically trying it for China. But did you guys hear who was involved with it?
All of those countries, including this one.
Exactly, right?
And what really got me was Russia. You know, Russia and the United States are our enemies.
They don't have good dealings. We don't have good dealings with Russia. That's not a thing. But yet and still, the US, Russia, the European Union, Japan, China, just to name a few, have all contributed their money, their resources, their scientists, technology, whatever is needed to make this thing work. What's so significant about that?
You're not part of the party. It's the 10 nations gathering together. I'm going to let someone else answer that. I'm just going to just say that. I'm gone.
He almost gave it away.
Kind of when you speak about the horns, I'm gonna let that go.
There you go. So is anybody else picking up on it?
Yes, the clay, man, the feet, the bottom, the top, the middle.
Not even just that. So now we have moved simply from the organization or the arising of these nations that are coming against the children of Israel and against the Most High. But now we're getting to the point where you're starting to see the ram with the 7 heads and the 10 horns. Remember a while back, we touched on it in another lesson about who those countries were and who they owe their allegiance to and where they are now. Those countries that they named are a part of those 7 horns and I'm sorry, those 7 heads and 10 horns, especially US, Russia, the European Union, India for one, right? If you ever have time, and we're going to touch on it briefly, if you ever have time to look up the 5 greatest superpowers to ever exist, ever, in that top 5, you're going to get China, Rome, India, a nation called the Mongols. So when you think about Genghis Khan, you're gonna get them, and then you're also gonna get the US. These are the 5 greatest, and they're for different reasons. But when you go into, if you get more specific than that and you say the greatest empires to ever exist, I'm gonna show you right now. They're mentioned, they are in the Bible. I'm gonna show you.
Aren't they the same ones that's in Psalms 83 and 3 through 6 or something like that? The one that's doing the craftiness?
Some of them. Not, it's not mentioning them as a whole, but they do mention, like, so they say Edom, right? Edom encompasses more than one empire, right? So Edom encompasses the Romans, the Greeks, the Greco-Romans, that's Great Britain, any of those large empires that are mainly from Caucasian people, that's Edom. So Edom covers more than one empire. So in Psalm 83 and 2, yes, they are mentioned not explicitly or specifically, but they are alluded to because of those nations that are mentioned cover more than one empire. But what we're about
I was thinking mostly too about that craftiness, what they're trying to do. They're craftiness, they're always up to something we don't know about.
they are always up to something, and they're always trying to do something to play the Most High. Remember, that's something that's in them, that's in their nature. They're not even thinking about it. It's just something that's just in them to be higher than the Most High. That's what they desire. That's what they want. That's what drives them. I'm gonna show you. Let's go to the book of Daniel, chapter 7. And we're gonna start at verse 1. Eliyahu, are you still there?
Shalom. Yes, I'm still here.
I'm going to need you to read the precepts for me when I start giving the other verses, because it's a fair amount of them. So can you read those for me?
Okay.
All right. So let's start off with Daniel chapter 7 and verse 1. And it reads, in the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea. So right there in verse 2, when Daniel says that he had a vision, and his vision was about a part of his vision was the 4 winds, how they stirred up or how they strove upon the great sea. What is Daniel talking about? All right, let's get into the first one. That was lit. Let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 1, and verses 9 and 10.
And Elohim said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And Elohim called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And Elohim saw that it was good.
So this is what Daniel sees in his vision. Daniel is seeing literally creation. He's seeing the beginning. The Most High is showing Daniel the beginning of times, the beginning of all of this. So when Daniel says that he saw that the wind strove upon or stirred up the great sea, he's talking before all of this existed, before there was life here, before there was anything else. He saw the land emerge from the sea. He saw this great sea, because if there's nothing else, when you read in Genesis 1, it talks about how the waters and the dry land had to be separated, meaning that the dry land arose out of the water. So before the dry land came out of the water, everything was just what? Water. It was just water. So that was the Great Sea. Okay, so that was the Great Sea. So what Daniel says in Daniel 7, 1 and 2, this is what he saw. The Most High is showing him before anything else was here, when it was just water. And he's showing him how the land is coming out of the sea. And from that, we're gonna keep going. Verse 3. So Daniel 7 and verse 3. And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man. And a man's heart was given to it. Now I know right here we see this word beasts, right? So before we even go any further, let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3 and verses 16 through 18. Eliyahu had to walk away for a second. Elder Yaakov, can you read this for me until Eliyahu comes back?
Yeah, now where are we again? You say Ecclesiastes?
Yes, chapter 3, verses 16 through 18.
What chapter again?
Chapter 3
3, 16
through 18.
18. And it reads, and moreover, I saw under the sun the placement of judgment, that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. I said in mine heart, God shall judge the righteous and the wicked, for there is a time, therefore, for every purpose and for every work. I said in mine heart concerning the estate of the sons of men, that God might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts.
So this is what we are talking about. So this is in Ecclesiastes, we're talking about, he says that I said in my heart concerning the estate of the sons of men, that Elohim might manifest them, or that he might test them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts. So when we see in Daniel chapter 7 and verse 3, when he says that, behold, I saw a beast, right? In verse 3, and 4 great beasts. We're not talking about these just giant animals. Daniel is seeing kingdoms, seeing people, he's seeing men. So this is the beast that he's talking about. In verse 4, and he says, the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. What do we notice in verse 4 about this particular beast?
Said a heart was given to it. So that tells us a man, some type of man.
Right?
The eagle
Its
wing.
wings were plucked.
It's so okay. I heard the eagle's wings, and I also heard that the wings were plucked. What does it mean that the wings were plucked?
They were pulled out.
It can't fly. They were pulled out. But what does that signify? That the wings were plucked.
Somebody was better than he was.
Absolutely, somebody was better than he was and was able to pluck off his wings. But what does that signify? So think about what we're talking about. This is a great beast, a great kingdom that was pulled up out of the ocean, that was pulled up out of nowhere, right? This beast was a great kingdom, and its wings were plucked.
Its glory was gone.
There you go. There you go. Now, what are we talking about? Since we know that we're talking about kingdoms, which kingdom was that Daniel at this time would have intimate knowledge that was destroyed, or that its glory was taken away from it? And that it was also, think about this, it was a great beast at first, but then it was given the heart or the mind of a man. So now its stature has decreased. It's gone from a great beast down to just a normal average man. What kingdom is Daniel talking about? What kingdom is Daniel given the vision of?
United States.
Not the United States, no.
The kingdom of Babel.
Not Babel.
It's Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom.
Babylon.
That's Babylon. No, not Nebuchadnezzar, not Babylon. Think about the characteristics of it.
Egypt.
It was a, there you go. It was a lion that had eagle's wings. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you something. Everybody knows what the Sphinx is. Everybody has seen the stone Sphinx. They know what it looks like. Give me a big picture. You know how to do it. Give me hang on one second. Okay, so here we are. We can do this. Can everybody see this picture? This one. This is the Sphinx. This is not the actual Sphinx, but in pictures, it was almost impossible for them to carve this out of stone. But this is what the Sphinx. This is a representation of the Sphinx. You see, it has the body of a lion, eagle's wings, and the mind of a man. It has the head of a man. This was Egypt. This is the kingdom that Daniel is describing in the vision. This is the vision that he was given. He was given a vision of Egypt. How do we know that this was Egypt? Where's the one that I want to go to? Let's go to Exodus chapter 10 and verse 7. Because we know that Egypt was destroyed. The Most High, once he delivered the children of Israel out of Egypt, that was his whole game, to destroy Egypt. So Exodus chapter 10 and verse 7.
And Pharaoh's servants said unto him, how long shall this man be a snare unto us? Let the men go, that they may serve Yahuwah their Elohim. Knowest thou not yet that Egypt is destroyed?
This is one of Pharaoh's right-hand men. This is one of his generals telling him, let these people go. Don't you know that we are already destroyed? If you keep them here, we're done for. It's going to be explained again. Let's go to Exodus chapter 12 and verse 33.
And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people, that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they said, we be all dead men.
So these are the Egyptians. This is not the war room of generals. These are not the higher ups. These are the average everyday Egyptians. They already know their fate. They know what's coming. We need to send these people out of here in a hurry, just in case, in the effort that their God would leave us alone. Because if he don't, we are all dead men. We're done for. So we know that this happens way before Daniel existed. So when Daniel is given this vision and he sees that the lion with the eagle's wings and the heart or the mind of a man, that its wings get plucked off, just like Jania said, its glory has been taken. That signifies it has been destroyed. Its position has been taken away. Daniel would definitely have intimate knowledge to know exactly what that's talking about and what that's going into. Now it's going to get a little deeper. Did we already do that? Yes. So we know that this first one, 7 and 4 is talking about Egypt. Now back to Daniel chapter 7 and verse 5. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. Now we know we're already talking about kingdoms, right? Now, a pattern that you're going to notice as we go on, these kingdoms are going in chronological order, meaning they're going in the time that they existed, and they're also going to go according to size. They're going to go to according to size, meaning the size of the empire at its peak. What kingdom are we talking about in verse 5? It just so happened to be one of the empires that had the children, one of the captivities that the children of Israel were in. In fact, it's the largest one.
Babylon.
Not Babylon. Babylon wasn't larger than Egypt.
Roman.
Close. Close.
Oh man, I can't pronounce it.
Roman Greco.
There you go. That's it. Jania, is that what you were thinking?
I was thinking Rome at first, but I was thinking the other one. I don't know why I can't pronounce it all of a sudden. I don't know.
This is the Greco-Roman Empire. So literally, the Greco-Roman Empire covered 3 continents: Europe, Asia, and whatever else. I'm not great with geography, but there's another one right there, and you can look it up. It was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 5 million or 3 million square miles, 5 million square miles, and it covered all 3 of those continents. It was Europe, Asia, and whatever else is right there. That was the Greco-Roman Empire. That was the peak of the Roman Empire. At that time, that was what was known as the known world. So when you hear people say that the Greco-Roman Empire, they literally conquered the world, they did not conquer the entire globe. They conquered what was known as the new world. I mean, the known world. That's what they knew at that time. That's all they knew that existed at that time. So those 3 continents, the Greco-Roman Empire covered. Just for reference sake, at Egypt's peak, it covered 380,000 square miles. Now, but we know from reading through Genesis that at the peak of Egypt's power, every place in the world had to come to Egypt, especially during that famine that covered the whole world. Everybody came to Egypt for supplies and for food, that we know, but Egypt didn't rule over those people. They were the hub for where you got food from. So Egypt was 300. I'm sorry, say it again. Okay. Egypt was 380,000 square miles. The Greco-Roman Empire was 3.5 million square miles. That's the amount of space at its peak. That's how much they conquered, those 3 continents. So let's go to 7 and 6. Yes, 7 and 6. After this, I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. Which beast is that? Remember, we're talking about in time period and also in size. Which empire is that referring to in 7 and 6? And this is one that y'all probably not even thinking about. Out of these 3 that I mentioned, this one is the largest one. And it's actually the most recent, other than this last beast that we're about to read about.
Can I try Babylon again?
No, this is not Babylon. This is not Babylon. Matter of fact, Greco-Roman is after Babylon. So we're at this point, we're already past Babylon.
Syria.
Not Syria. This is Great Britain. This is Great Britain. Great Britain's empire reigned, Great Britain reigned from the 18th century all the way up until the 20th century. Great Britain, there was a saying that people used when they talked about the empire of Britain. They said that the sun never sets on Great Britain. The reason for that was Great Britain, the empire stretched over 1/4 of the entire world. They literally had people or had satellites on every continent. They literally had control, some manner of control on every continent. So the sun was always shining on one of the continents. It always is. It's always shining somewhere. So the saying was the sun never sets on Great Britain. And they ruled, the crazy thing is they ruled up until the 20th century. So you could see the effects and the British rule all the way up until the 1900s. It's the only thing we can think of right now that's older than Elder Yosef. So this one is speaking of Great Britain. It was given 4 wings as a fowl, meaning that its reach stretched very far. And the reason for that was, if you look it up, if you ever want to be a history buff and you want to look into the reach of Great Britain, it was because of their navy. Great Britain had, the Royal Navy was like one of the greatest ever around in the history of navies. And then because of that, they were able to go everywhere. If there was a body of water close by, the Royal Navy could get you. And they expanded their power and their influence because of that. So this, in verse 6, is talking about it's talking about Great Britain. Now let's go to let's continue to verse 7. It says, after this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. Who is that talking about?
European Union.
Nope, that's not talking about the European Union. There are 27 countries that make up the European Union. So
That's the Romans.
That's not the Romans. That's not the Romans. So remember, we're still going in time. The Greco-Romans were prior to Great Britain. They don't come back into power ever again. That's not a thing. So now we've gone from the Great Britain, which lasted up until the 20th century, the 1900s. So we're talking about this next empire came after the 1900s.
The UN, the United Nations.
Not the United Nations. Who is the world superpower today?
United States.
The United States. That's it. You can look that up anywhere. As of 2021, there is one superpower. Everybody else is vying and fighting for second place.
Even after Trump?
Even after Trump. As amazing as that sounds in itself, there's nobody that has more nukes. There's nobody that has more. There is one country that has close to the amount of money that we have, but our GDP, our gross whatever product, our whatever the D is in that, is what it's 20 point. There you go. Gross domestic product is $20.5 trillion. The second place is China with like 18. No, I'm sorry, with 13. $13.5 trillion, or $13.8 trillion. 13.6. Thank you. $1 trillion. So, and that's not even close. We're talking about trillions in between us and second place. There's no bigger military. There's no bigger. The US, I think, has embassies like 154 countries, have military bases on somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 countries. There's no bigger superpower right now than the US. So this beast that Daniel saw that came after these last ones is going to be diverse than the other ones. It's going to be different, and it's actually going to stomp out, meaning it's going to overwhelm and overshadow all the beasts that came before it. No empire has had a reach as far as the US is concerned. When we read about Babylon the Great or Babylon the Whore, we read about her in Revelation, it says that all the world is drunk from the wine of her philosophy. And she sits on many waters, meaning she trades and deals with all the other countries, all the other nations. Literally, we're talking about the US. The US influences everybody. That's why you can go to any country and there's somebody there that speaks English. There's somebody there who will do whatever you need for the US dollar, because the US's influence is so vast and goes so far, it literally affects everyone on the planet.
Well, they got embassies everywhere.
Almost literally. There's a US embassy almost in every country. I think it's somewhere like 154 or 158 countries or something like that. So that's Daniel 7:7. So let's jump from there, and you're gonna need Ali, I'm gonna need you to read a lot. Let's jump to the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 11, and do verses 1 and 2.
You said 2nd Ezra?
2nd Ezra, chapter 11. We're gonna start at verses 1 and 2.
All right.
Oh, wait, sorry. Before we get there, we just read verse 7, Daniel 7:7, right? Did anybody notice that Daniel does not say what kind of beast it is? He doesn't. He just says that it has great iron teeth, and it had great iron teeth that devoured and break in pieces and stamped the residue with the food of it, and it was diverse from all the other beasts. He doesn't say what kind of beast it is. He never says which animal it is. He doesn't say we got a bear, we got a lion with eagle's wings, and we have a leopard. He doesn't say what this beast is. Does anybody know why?
Because he didn't know what it was.
Because he didn't know what it was. Daniel just saw pieces of it. He saw the teeth and he saw the feet and he saw what it was doing, but he didn't know exactly what this beast was. I'm going to show you proof of that. So before we do 2nd Ezra 11, do 2nd Ezra 12, verses 11 and 12. And then we're going to go back to chapter 11.
All right, so 12.
11 and 12.
Oh, do 11 and 12 first.
So do 2nd Ezra 12, verses 11 and 12.
11 and 12. Oh, okay. The eagle whom you saw come up from the sea is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of your brother Daniel.
All right, so pause right here. So remember, he's saying this is the same vision that Daniel saw. The beast that came out of the sea, he doesn't call it a beast, he calls it a what here?
Eagle.
He calls it an eagle, and then he goes on to say, is the what? Is the kingdom, right? So I told you guys in the beginning that beast is referring to Ezra is proving that fact. He's saying that we're talking about kingdoms. Go ahead and verse 12.
But it was not expounded unto him, therefore now I declare it unto you.
So Daniel didn't know what that beast was. The Most High didn't expound it, or he did not explain the vision to Daniel in that regard as to what the beast was. Why is it, we're going to get into this, why is it important to know that this beast is an eagle?
It's the US
That's our
symbol.
symbol. U.S. symbol. Written symbol.
That's the US symbol. Not only the US, but right now in this time, a country that has an empire that's greater than Great Britain's empire, it's larger than Great Britain's empire, it comes after Great Britain's empire, and they use the symbol as an eagle. They refer to themselves as an eagle. That can only be one place. So Germany, France, Italy at some time, Spain, we can go even into, I believe, Mexico actually had have their symbol as the eagle. And there are several other countries that use the eagle as their symbol, but none of them have ever had the size or the influence that America has. So this nation that Daniel is talking about, that Ezra goes into explaining, is talking about the US. It's talking about the United States of America, whose symbol is the eagle, whose empire is greater than that of the predecessor of the one before. So we're going to go back to 2nd Ezra chapter 11 and now read verses 1 and 2.
Then saw I a dream, and beheld, there came up from the sea an eagle, which had 12 feathered wings and 3 heads. And I saw, and behold, she spread her wings all over the earth, and all the winds of the air blew on her, and were gathered together.
Oh, excuse me. Now, how large is this empire that we're talking about right now?
Goes over the whole world.
Covers the whole earth. How do we know that? It's because Ezra says it, that she spread her wings over all the earth. Think about mama birds when they have babies. If it's bad, it doesn't have to be bad weather. When the mama bird is in the nest, if she's not feeding, she spreads her wings over the baby so they can tuck in under her for protection. All right. So that means she rules over them, essentially. She protects them. She keeps them safe. That's what we're talking about. This eagle, this nation, is ruling over and protecting and keeping safe, however you want to say it, the entire earth, meaning her influence or she affects the entire earth. It cannot be anybody else other than the US. Now let's jump to verses 5 and 6.
Moreover, I beheld, and lo, the eagle flew with her feathers, and reigned upon earth, and over them that dwelt therein. And I saw that all things under heaven were subject unto her, and no man spoke against her, no, not one creature upon earth.
So we see that this does not fit anyone else other than the US. No other country can say that. No country bucks against the US. I know we see in the news where Russia's playing in the election and they got problems and blah, blah, blah. But remember, not that long ago, when the US sent a drone strike and killed the Iranian second in command, and Iran put up this is our war flag, and they was doing all that, and they about to make all this. And what happened after that? Nothing. So on paper and in the news, it looks funny that Russia is doing all of this stuff, but nobody bucks the US. Nobody, no country would dare start war by itself intentionally with the US. That's a suicide trip. And every country knows that. No country will do that. This is why the scripture says that, and no man spake against her. No, not one. And then before that, and it says that under heaven, all things under heaven were subject under her. This eagle influences the whole world, and everybody is subject to it. Everybody is subservient to the US. Elder Joseph, you about to say something?
Yeah, and I totally agree that nobody bucks the US, but in order for you to be able to have that type of prowess and power, it has to be demonstrated. And so think about World War II, when they flew over here and did Pearl Harbor, and what was demonstrated in their power ended up in Japan. Everybody saw that and what happened. So I just wanted to add that.
Absolutely. The US bombed Japan, bombed all the masculinity out of Japan. Japan has been doing Hello Kitty and anime ever since then. Japan ain't want no more problems out of nobody because they are completely subject to the US. just like every other country. And just like Elder said, every now and again, you have to display that power. The Most High does it. He displays his power every now and again just to let people know. And don't forget, I am still the Most High. Just in case you forgot, I'm going to let them get built up and I'm going to knock them off. Isn't that not what he told Pharaoh? He said, see, I have hardened his heart so that I may show myself strong, that I am the Lord. Don't forget, you better put some respect on my name. Don't forget that. So, Elder, you're absolutely right. So, can you jump to verses 15 through 17?
Then came there a voice unto it, and said, Hear you that have borne rule over the earth so long. This I say unto you, before you begin to appear no more.
So pause, stop right there. Stop right there. In verse 15, then came a voice unto it. So this is a voice, the Most High, speaking unto this eagle, this kingdom that has rule over the whole earth. Hear thou that has borne rule over the earth so long. This I say unto thee, before you begin to appear no more. Right here, what is the Most High saying to this kingdom or saying to this eagle? We'll keep it on the level, on the surface. What is he saying to this eagle?
You shall be destroyed.
Absolutely. It ain't gonna be no surprise. I don't want you to think that I'm surprising you. This ain't gonna be no sucker punch. I'm not gonna sneak up on you. You know this from the time when you are at your peak. You are at your peak, I'm telling you. Let me say this to you right now, before you appear no more, before you are completely destroyed, before you are gone. Continue on up.
There shall none after you attain unto your time, neither unto the half thereof.
What does that mean?
That there won't be another eagle or anything of that sort.
Absolutely. That's 100% correct. After you, ain't gonna be no more. Ain't gonna be no more rulers other than my people. What is the scripture? Somebody find it for me. That Esau is the end of a thing and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. This is exactly. Say it again, Op.
And Second Ezra.
That's Second Ezra?
Mm-hmm.
It's not in my notes. I just pulled that from the hip. Second Ezra, do you know where?
Hold on.
And it also talks about that in the birth. How
really
Yahweh was holding the heel.
The older shall serve the younger?
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What does he say?
Second Ezra 6 and 9.
Thank you, Toda. Thank you so much. Second Ezra chapter 6 and verse 9. So hold chapter 11. We're gonna go to chapter 6. Matter of fact, this is exactly what Elder was talking about. We start at verse 8. Second Ezra chapter 6 and verse 8. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So this is exactly what the Most High is talking about in Second Ezra 11. This is what he's talking about. There shall be nobody coming after you. There will be not another kingdom other than my people that comes after you. Nobody will be able to rule as long as you did. They won't even be able to rule half the time that you did. It's not happening. Okay. It's not happening. So from there, do me a favor, let's hold Second Ezra 11 and let's go to Isaiah chapter 14, verses 21 through 23.
you said 21?
Isaiah 14, 21 through 23.
Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. For I will rise up against them, saith Yahuwah Sabaoth, and of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name, and remnant, and son, and nephew, saith Yahuwah. I will also make it a possession for the bittern, and pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith Yahuwah of hosts.
So we see when he told the eagle, you will not rule after this. Before you are no, I want you to know this, before you are no more, before you are gone, you will not rule after this. There will not come up another after you to rule like this. They won't even rule half as much as you did. We see in Isaiah, it's the same concept, because the Most High is literally going to destroy them to the point where they do not inhabit the cities of the world anymore. The very remembrance of them is going to be wiped off the place of the earth. We can walk around like, yo, nobody's ever heard of Edom. Who used to live over there? It used to be some people who was known as the border of God's indignation forever, and you will never know their name again. It will be completely done away with. And it's ironic. I don't want to say ironic, but it goes right along in Psalm 83 and 2 when the Most High says that they are making a crafty counsel. And what was their end goal? That Israel be not a name anymore? That nobody will remember the name of Israel anymore? That's exactly what he's going to do to them, because that's what they're trying to do to us. You won't even remember the name Esau. You won't remember Edom. You won't remember anything that they've done. Aliyahu, I saw your hand.
Yeah, Count. Quick question. Coming from 2nd Ezra 6 and 9, and what we're talking about right now. I'm not sure if I'm wording this correctly, but is Esau who runs America or the United States? Well, I'll say we said this beast is America, right? Not the United States.
I'm sorry, I may be ignorant. I didn't know there was a difference. When I say the United States, I mean the United States of America. Are you thinking of something else?
Sorry, no, it was me. So does Esau run the United States of America?
Cain. Yes.
Okay. Then
else.
I'm sorry.
Unless there's something else.
Oh, okay. Then my next question is based upon what we just read in Yeshayahu Isaiah. It says, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. For I will rise up against them, saith Yahuwah of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant and son and nephew, saith Yahuwah. So actually, I'll wait for my second question.
Are you sure?
Well, I was just gonna say, so does that, based on this, does that mean that the children of Israel who are in the cities of the United States need to flee because of the judgment of Yahuwah that will come for this nation at some point in time? And since, you know, the nation of Israel does not know when exactly that will be, you know.
I know what you're saying. I understand. Let me know if I'm following along with you. Because the destruction is coming to the cities that are run by, the cities that are run by, let's say, America. Since we don't know when this destruction is coming, should we leave, right, so that we can be safe?
So, Cain, you're following me, but here's the other connection. In Isaiah, he referred to this in 22, unless we're saying 22 and 21 are referring to different places, but the name given here is Babylon.
Mhm.
In the book of Revelation, he tells his people, come out of her. He says, and flee, my people, be not partakers of her wrath and her, in her fornication and her judgment.
Mhm.
So what I'm trying to get at is, we know that America, the United States of America, is not geographically Babylon, Babel.
Okay.
But we know that the United States of America, has the Ruach, or the spirit of Babylon. Babel had the mixture of religions, if you will, cultures, if you will, and there's no greater place on the earth, as you've been saying, than America that possesses that right now. And for the last couple of years, you know, America is the melting pot of the world, you know. So the connection that I'm making is he's referring to this particular beast as Babylon, but in the last book of prophecy, you know, the warning is given, come out of her, my people. And so if the United States is Babylon, and he's the prophecy, the warning, the instruction that's given is come out of her, you know. So that's kind of where the origin of my question is coming from.
King, I understand. And so so in Revelation, it says, come out of her, my people, so that you don't, you know, suffer none of the wrath of her sins and things like that. This is just me. This is just Kelly. This is just him. When I hear that, it's come out of her ways, right? The philosophies, the doctrines that are found by her. And the reason I say is, let's go to same book, Isaiah chapter 26, and let's go to verse 20 and 21. So Isaiah chapter 26, verses 20 and 21.
All right.
And it reads and says, come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment, until the indignation be overpast. For behold, Yahweh cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain. So that right there is saying that it's a place of refuge for the children of Israel. So no matter where it is, he says that he's going to punish the earth. So I know in Isaiah, where were we? What was the one before that? Isaiah 14. And it says, you know, in those cities, but it also in 20 and 21. And it says that prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. So everywhere, we already know that this entire planet is going to face judgment of the Most High. There won't be a safe place to hide or run from his judgment or from the wrath of his indignation. So not just the cities of the US, but it'll be the cities of everywhere. So what's going to happen is the children of Israel are going to get a place of refuge to escape from his wrath. So whether we run to, I don't care where, Africa, Jerusalem, whether we run to Brazil or where, there's no place to hide, because everyone and everywhere is going to give up, is going to get judgment. That's why in 26 and 20, and it says that the earth shall disclose her blood and shall no more cover her slain. Meaning nobody is going to be exempt from it. Not just in Babylon or not just in any other particular country, but everywhere is going to get it. And what's going to happen is the children of Israel, or not even all the children of Israel, those who are counted as worthy are going to get a place of refuge. They're going to be protected from this calamity when it happens. That's just my...
No, I got you. So I might have worded the latter part of my question or statement rather incorrect. So I agree with what you said. What I was trying to pull out is it does say nor fill the face of the world with cities. What I was trying to pull out is, should the children of Israel come out of, who live in America, or let's just say all over, come out of all the cities? Because you know that there's cities and then there's the suburb or suburban areas.
Okay.
If you go back to the origin of cities in the Bible, who started that? Cain.
Okay.
Cain did. The one who was of that wicked one. So he's the origin of that. And so now in the beginning of the book, you have, you know what I'm saying, Cain killed his brother. Abel, the Most High, come to him and say, hey, you know, where's your brother? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me. And Cain's like, I don't know, am I my brother's keeper? And then, you know, surely his sin finds him out. And Cain becomes the first person to partake of a city of refuge. He's sent to a place, well, I'm not gonna let nobody kill you, so you're the first person I'm gonna put a mark on, that if whoever find you, can't nobody kill you. But who first populated that city? His descendants. And they kept populating the cities until it got to, you know, what we know it to be today. But go ahead, you know, I don't want to get too far from where you're going.
Also, Kenny, I got what you, I understand what you're saying. You're not referring to God, you're referring to whatever that's the name of the city he called after that. He called it, he created this, what did he call it?
So, like, for example, if you look just in the US, where do the children of Israel suffer the most?
Well, in the cities.
In the inner cities, right? Where's the most poverty for the children of Israel?
It will be in the cities.
In the city. So where's the most prostitution? You know, drug abuse, you know what I'm saying?
Game.
Huh?
I agree. I mean, it's in the city, within the city limits.
Where the liquor stores at? Are they in the suburbs? I mean, the majority of them?
They are heavily populated in the city.
In the city, on every corner next to a
church.
Right. So you know what I'm saying. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Hey, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and the honest answer for me is I don't know for certain, right?
Yeah, I got it.
In Genesis 4, we see that what's his name? Cain named the city Enoch after his son Enoch. But then it also said that he dwelled in the land of Nod. That's where he found his wife and her parents. So Nod existed before Enoch did. So I understand what you're saying, that Cain was like one of the first proponents of cities and he created a city, but Nod was there before Cain got there.
Correct. But well, right. I mean, you have to have land to build a city.
Absolutely right. Absolutely.
Right. So the land of Nod will be there, but he was the one that populated the city and propagated it. Good.
You're right. And so my honest answer is, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we should flee cities and head to like the suburbs or to rural areas and things like that. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh. Well, actually, you kind of just, I don't want to say answered it, but then I'll let you get back to it. Like, whenever we fled from Egypt, or when the Messiah talked about fleeing, where did we always go, and where did he tell us to go? Into the rural areas. Flee into the mountains, flee into the top, you know. Get out of the city of Jerusalem. You know what I'm saying? So when we came out of Egypt, where did we go? Into the wilderness.
Into the wilderness.
This ain't in the city. You know what I'm saying?
True. I mean, there is something to, but I don't know. So like I think about, when you bring that up, I think about Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah were the cities.
Correct.
Most High, when he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, he destroyed all of the plains in between those two cities. So that's even that, like the rural area or whatever, the desert in between those two cities. So I mean, honestly, I don't know. I don't know. That would be something to look into, to see, like, should we be like headed out away from the city, away from the dense populated areas I don't, at this point, I don't know.
But he made an escape for Lot and his family. He made a way of escape.
He did make a way of escape.
What to do with us?
Well, that's true. And that's kind of my mentality. See, and actually he gave Lot a simple instruction. He sent, get out. That's what I'm trying to get at. And Lot wouldn't listen. You know what I'm saying? So he sent the Malachim, go in there and drag his tail out of the city, and then I destroy it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of what I'm after. Like the instruction the Most High even gave to Lot that he made a way for him was get out, Lot. Leave.
Can't you're absolutely right. We see that over and over again. Even in the book of Luke, when Yahushua says, flee into the mountains, when this comes, don't come back, leave the city and go into the mountains nearby where you can escape, where you can get away from the destruction of Jerusalem. Yeah, so you're right. There is some truth to it, but like I said, at this current understanding, I don't know. I don't want to give anybody a definitive. I ain't trying to tell nobody, hey, look, you need to go buy a house out in Waldorf or out in Stafford County somewhere. I don't want to tell nobody that. I don't know for sure.
Well, let me say this. Listening to the conversation, and both points are correct. The issue will probably be, are you hearing the shofar? Are you hearing the Most High? Or do you love Egypt, Babylon, that much? Because if you have to drag someone back or out of a place, how much do you love this place? And then you look at Lot's wife. She looked back because her daughters were there. So the bottom line is everything is spiritual, and then we move in accordance to that. How much do we love being here, being in the cities, being in our home, being this? Who wants to go to the wilderness? You know what I'm saying? But then will we be able to heed the call? Will you be able to hear the call? So I yield the floor.
Hey, that is a great point. That is a great point. So let's go back to 2nd Ezra chapter 11. And I know that we saw in Daniel's vision, he says the ram had 7 heads and 10 horns. We see that the ram had the beast that Daniel saw. The beast had 10 horns. And we're going to see in 2nd Ezra where he says that the eagle had 12 feathers. I want you to pay attention to something. So let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 11, verses 21 and 22. I'm sorry, 21 through 23.
For some of them were set up, but ruled not. After this I looked, and behold, the 12 feathers appeared no more, nor the little feathers. And there was no more upon the eagle's body, but 3 heads that rested and 6 little wings.
So those 12 feathers that Ezra is talking about right here, Daniel says there were 10 horns. Ezra says there were 12 feathers. So here in these 12 feathers, Ezra says that some of them were set up, but they didn't rule. Okay. Some of them were set up and they never ruled. That goes right along with what Daniel was saying, where Daniel said there were 10 horns. Some of these feathers, there were 12 in total. Some of them were set up. Some of them were put in place, but they never made it around to ruling. So this is why these two line right up, because some people will say, well, Ezra saw 12 feathers, Daniel saw 10 horns. It's not the fact that it's a difference in number. It's just the fact that Ezra saw the complete picture, right? Ezra saw what beast it was. He saw what kingdom it was. And he saw exactly how many of the feathers were there. He saw how many started up. Daniel just saw the end of it. He saw a glimpse of it. So here, Ezra is showing you that there were 12 that started off. All of them didn't rule though. And then even we're going to go into that, and Ezra is going to explain that even from those feathers, well, you got to read up a little further than that. He says, even from those feathers, other feathers sprang up. Some of them ruled, some of them didn't. So it's, even though there's a difference in number, it's the same prophecy. So from there, we're going to go to 24. We're going to jump down to 24. And I saw Eliyahu just stepped away. We're going to jump down to verse 24. And it says, and it reads, then saw I also that 2 little feathers divided themselves from the 6 and remained under the head that was upon the right side, for the 4 continued in their place. So when it says feathers right there, it's not talking about feathers, it's talking about the wings. Because remember, there were 6 wings that the eagle had. Now all the feathers are gone. So we're not talking about feathers anymore. It's talking about wings. It's 2 of the 6 wings divided themselves from the rest of the 6, and they placed themselves under the heads of the eagle. And we stopped at verse 25. And I beheld, and lo, the feathers that were under the wing thought to set up themselves and to have the rule. And I beheld, and lo, there was one set up, but shortly it appeared no more. So this is going to the organization of this particular kingdom. Inside this kingdom is much turmoil. Inside this empire, there's many people who want to rule, who think that they're big and bad enough to rule, but as soon as they try to set themselves up, they just get knocked out of the way. Right? We've seen that in this country tons and tons of times. You see how at one point you'll see that the mafia is running things, but then all of a sudden the mafia is gone. You'll see that there are many people who want to be president and they got the words and they got the, you know what I mean? You like, okay, that dude will make a great president. Doesn't come to pass. Think about like John Kerry. John Kerry had some very good things about his character. He had some very good ideas, but people was like, oh, John Kerry is definitely going to become president. Didn't happen. So these are some of those feathers and some of those wings who wanted to be in power, but it never came to pass. It just never happened for them. So from there, let's jump to verse 36. And we're going to read 36 through 46. Did I skip anything? No. All right. So 2nd Ezra chapter 11, verse 36. Then I heard a voice which said unto me, look before thee and consider the thing that thou seest. And I beheld, and lo, as it were a roaring lion chased out of the wood. And I saw that he sent out a man's voice unto the eagle and said, in verse 37, who are we talking about? Who has just arrived on the scene?
Can I say Babylon? No, I'm just kidding. Sound like Great Britain?
No, that's not Great Britain. The angel just told Ezra, I want you to pay attention to what you see. This part of the vision that you are about to see, pay very close attention to this. And then he tells him, and I beheld, and lo, as it were a roaring lion chased out of the wood. Meaning this lion came running out of the woods like somebody was chasing him. Nobody is actually chasing this lion, but he came running out the woods like somebody was chasing him with a sense of urgency. And I saw that and I saw the lion chased out of the wood, and wait a minute, what? And I saw that he sent out a man's voice unto the eagle. So this lion running out of the woods with a sense of urgency begins to talk to the eagle. We know that this eagle is this kingdom that we're in, this empire that we're in, that we're under. And the lion, with a sense of urgency, jumps out of the woods to talk to the eagle. Who is that?
Behold, I come swiftly.
Let's jump to the book of Revelations. You're absolutely right, Elder. I know where you're going. Let's jump to the book of Revelations, chapter 5. And we're going to start at verse 4. So Revelation chapter 5 and verse 4. Who's writing the book of Revelation? This is John the Revelator. This is John. He's writing this. Verse 4. And I wept much because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. And one of the elders saith unto me, weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the 4 beasts, and in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb, as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of Elohim sent forth into all the earth. Who is that? Who is the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David?
Mashiach.
That's Hamashiach. Everybody should have been jumping to say that one. That's Hamashiach. It's the same lion in 2nd Esdras. Do you get it? When the elder said, behold, I come swiftly. I told you guys a long time ago that the vision that I have in my head is that Hamashiach is in heaven right now, chomping at the bit to get back here to rescue his people. But he hasn't been released yet. Every angel and all the host of angels are holding him back, preventing him from coming back too early, because he wants to come back and rescue his people. Remember what he told the disciples after they had Passover. He said, I desire to celebrate this with you again, but it won't be until we get back much later. So he's waiting to come back. He wants to come back. It's his desire to come back for us, but he has to wait until it's time. But you have to think that he is pissed off seeing the condition that we are in and the captivity and the oppression and how we are as a people. He knows that once he comes back, he can set all of this right back the way it's supposed to be and get us back in line. So you know that he's just chomping at the bit and just waiting for the chance. When you think about somebody saying, I wish a nigga would, that's literally what he's up there doing. I wish he would let me go and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna tear that place up. So this lion that we see in 2nd Esdras, that looks like he come out of the woods like somebody is chasing him. Oh, he is ready to come back and do damage. He is waiting for the chance to come back and do damage. So let's go back to 2nd Esdras chapter 11.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Verse 30, we stopped at verse 37. So now verse 38, this is what the Lion of Judah is saying to the eagle. This is what Hamashiach is saying to this country, to this empire. Hear thou, I will talk with thee, and the highest shall say unto thee, art not thou it that remainest of the 4 beasts, whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of their times might come through them? Time out. Verse 39. Did you hear what he said to him? Aren't you the last of the 4 beasts that I put here to reign in my world? That the end of their times might come through them? If you ever wondered why these other nations were put here, why these other people were put here, this is their purpose. I put you here. I gave you power. Remember back in Daniel, it said these came out of the sea. They came out of the great sea. The Most High did all of that. He put them in place. He put them in power. He gave them the power and the authority that they had. So he said, isn't it you that the Most High put here so that the end of the time can come through you by your hands? Your whole reason for being here is to push my people back to me so that I can come and destroy the rest of this. That's it. That's your purpose. Verse 40, and the 4th came and overcame all the beasts that were past and had power over the world with great fearfulness and over the whole compass of the earth with much wicked oppression. And so long time dwelt he upon the earth with deceit. So this beast, this angel, this empire, this empire that was put here, You ruled the whole planet with fearfulness. They were all terrified of you. I put you here for that reason and for this time. I put you here for this amount of time so that you can accomplish exactly what I set you here to do. Verse 41, for the earth hast thou not judged with truth. For thou hast afflicted the meek, thou hast hurt the peaceable, thou hast loved liars and destroyed the dwellings of them that brought forth fruit, and hast cast down the walls of such as did thee no harm. Therefore is thy wrongful dealing come up unto the highest, and thy pride unto the mighty. The highest also have looked upon the proud times, and behold, they are ended, and his abominations are fulfilled. Has anybody else heard that before? Anybody heard that before with that the proud have said to the Most High? Give me a second, let me do it. It's in the book of Obadiah. Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 3. So hold second Esdras. Let's go to the book of Obadiah chapter 1, verse 3. Let me get it. The book of Obadiah, it's only one chapter, verse 3. And it reads, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the sparrow. I'm sorry, I'm not wearing my glasses. Can somebody read that for me? Though thou exalt thyself as the what?
Eagle.
Is the, you sure?
Says
You sure? Y'all sure that says the eagle? I thought I was tripping. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahuwah. This is exactly what Ezra is going into. Your pride, you puffed yourself up. You thinking you too big. No, let me show you. So verse 45. And therefore, back in second Esdras chapter 11, verse 45. And therefore appear no more thou eagle, nor thy horrible wings, nor thy wicked feathers, nor thy malicious heads, nor thy hurtful claws, nor all thy vain body. Remember what we read in Isaiah 14. There won't be any trace of you. You won't be anywhere to fill the cities of the world. You're going to be gone. So he's saying there's going to be no more. Verse 46, that all the earth may be refreshed and may return, being delivered from thy violence, and that she may hope for the judgment and mercy of him that made her. This is clear and cut. There's no ifs, ands, or buts who this can be, but there's also no ifs, ands, or buts as to what times we are living in. The reason we started with China and this artificial sun is so you can see they have made, you can't get no more arrogant than that. The Most High back in Genesis 1:14 is when he made the sun and the moon and the stars. These are some of his most important creations. I believe it's exactly Genesis 1:14. Yeah. Genesis 1:14 is when the sun, the moon, and the stars are all created. You cannot get no more arrogant than that, than to try to recreate one of the Most High's most important creations. Because by the sun and the moon and the stars, we get our times, our seasons, and our years. Come on, man. Really? You try to create an artificial, really? You're trying to overstep, you are definitely overstepping the boundaries of mankind. Your pride, you have put yourself up, you have puffed yourself up to try to be the most high, and you don't think he's going to respond? He said, when he told Noah, he said, it ain't going to be water next time. It's going to be fire. Y'all down here playing. Now, with that video that I showed you guys did not show you. So out of those countries that they said were in cahoots or who were working together to do that one, there's another one that Germany has created. They have other countries that are helping them to do. There's also another one that France has created. Isn't it amazing that these are the same countries that were listed in the Europe? They're listed in the European Union. These are the major world powers right now. These are the same. There is no coincidence. The Most High is not joking. He's planned this thing out from the beginning. When he said it's going to be fire, yeah, all right, y'all got these things and they burn up to 150 million degrees Fahrenheit. What? Oh, I'm sorry, Celsius. What happens when that temperature gets loose? What happens if something goes wrong? There was another article that I read that said that if the tiniest stress fracture occurs in any of those containment fields, it's utter destruction. You have a machine that is running at a temperature of 150 million degrees. I don't care whether it's Fahrenheit or Celsius. It doesn't make it any better either way. If something happens and that 150 million degrees get out, Chernobyl is nothing compared to what will happen here. This is that fire that the Most High is talking about. Yeah, all right, y'all want to play? You want to get something that burns as hot as, I'm sorry, hotter than the sun that I made? Can you think about this just for a second? The sun that we experience to get heat from, that we get summer from, is hundreds of millions of miles away. Some people don't believe that, and that's fine. It's hundreds of millions of miles away. And when we have a drought, or when we have these high heat stretches, and the temperature here reaches 120 degrees, and we got people passing out and dying in the street just from sitting there, it's too hot. It's 100 million miles away, and it burns at somewhere in the neighborhood of 27 million degrees. What happens if you get 150 million degrees burning 1,000 miles away?
It'd be something like the Terminator, wouldn't it?
That ain't gonna do it justice. A nuclear bomb will not do that any justice. You could light a nuke and it would look like a candle compared to 150 million degrees 1,000 miles away. If that thing broke loose in China, you can go ahead and cancel Christmas. China is off the map. That's it. China and everything that borders China will be gone. Period. And you're talking about in the blink of an eye. This is that fire that the Most High is talking about. Let's get back to 2nd Ezra chapter 11. Did we read? What? I'm sorry, I kind of lost my place. Yes, we did. We read it. So back to 2nd Ezra chapter 11. We finished that. So let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 12. And it came to pass, I'm sorry, verse 1. So chapter 12 and verse 1. And it came to pass, whilst the lion spake in these words unto the eagle, I saw, and behold, the head that remained and the 4 wings appeared no more. And the 2 went unto it and set themselves up to reign, and their kingdom was small and full of uproar. And I saw, and behold, they appeared no more, and the whole body of the eagle was burnt, so that the earth was in great fear. Then I awaked out of the trouble and trance of my mind, and from great fear, and said unto my spirit. Now this is Ezra. He just came out of this vision. The Most High just showed him this vision. At the end of verse 2, when he says that those 2 wings that were under the eagle's head, once the eagle was gone, once that body was gone, those 2 wings tried to set up a kingdom for themselves. Let me show you this. Let's jump back to Revelation chapter 17, verses 11 through 14. So the book of Revelation, chapter 17, verse 11. And it reads, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth and is of the seven and goeth into perdition. So here we're talking about, this is the same beast, except in this instance where Daniel was talking about four and Daniel and Ezra are talking about four of the beasts. Here in Revelation, the Most High shows John all 8 of the greatest kingdoms. He's showing 8 of them. Daniel and Ezra only mentioned 4 of them. The Most High shows John 8 of them. So in verse 12, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but received power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. Back in 2nd Ezra chapter 12, those are the 2 wings that tried to start their own kingdom. They tried to start their own kingdom. They tried to rise up and reign, but Yahushua was already back. He's already there. And that ain't happening. So they're going to try and literally try to make war against Yahushua. I mean, like, how? Like, really? You're going to try to fight the Son of Man? What can you do to hurt? But this is what's happening. This is why, and I don't know any other way how to explain this, but this is why you now have a branch of the military called the Space Force. You don't think your enemies know this Bible?
Oh, Kelly, word on the street is that NASA has hired priests to talk to the people about aliens.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. But this is why. So you don't think that your enemies have access to your book and they are reading and they see some of these things and they know their outcome. When we just read in 2nd Ezra chapter 11, let's go back to it, verse 16. Hear thou that hast borne rule over the earth so long, this I say unto thee, before thou beginnest to appear no more. Ain't no secret. They know what's coming. They reading just like you should be. They know all this stuff is coming. So they're trying to prepare for it. They're trying to plan for it. Dude, look, it says that he's going to descend in the same time, in the same manner as he ascended. He coming from space. He's no longer here. He coming from out there somewhere. We need to have some way to see when he coming. We need to have some kind of defense to try to slow him down or try to block him. You don't think they know that? This is exactly what they're trying. The Space Force is an attempt to go to war with the Son of Man. Our enemies they are not stupid. Their efforts are futile, but they ain't stupid. They can read. Let's keep going. Did we want to do that one? No, we read that. We read that. So let's go back to the book of Daniel, chapter 7. Where did we start? Give me 1 second to get there. Daniel chapter 7, and we're gonna end here. Did that.
79.
We stopped at 7, I think. Did we read 8? We will definitely read 9 though, but we didn't. No, we didn't do 8. So Daniel chapter 7 and verse 8. And we're gonna finish in just a few. And it reads, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And this is Daniel saying the same thing that Ezra said, that this kingdom that comes is going to stomp on and basically overshadow and overwhelm all the efforts and everything that those previous empires have had. He says they plucked them up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. So we already know who that's talking about. That's talking about the Most High. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. These are the books. This is what Daniel I'm sorry, not Daniel. This is what John is talking about in Revelation when he said that he began to weep because there was no one to open the books. And that lion, the Lion of Judah, talking about Hamashiach. This is what Daniel was talking. This same thing as John's talking about. Daniel's talking about right here. Verse 11. I beheld then because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. Remember, we read that in 2nd Ezra in chapter 11, at the end of chapter 11, when Hamashiach after he was talking to him, the eagle's entire body was burnt. This is what we're going into right now in Daniel. Daniel said that the eagle's body is going to get thrown into the flame. Verse 13. I'm sorry, verse 12. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. So right here, a lot of people get confused. You say, okay, here comes the Son of Man. He's going to have a kingdom, and in his kingdom is going to be all people, all nations, and all languages. And they think that's everybody. Everybody's welcome to be a part. But what is that talking about? What is that going into?
Slavery.
Not just slavery, but what is it talking about that his nation will be of people of all languages and of all tongues?
All of the Israelites from all over the world.
From all over the world. So just in case somebody forgot, let's jump to the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 1. The book of James, chapter 1 and verse 1. And it reads, James, a servant of Elohim and of the sovereign Yahushua Hamashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. So all 12 tribes are scattered everywhere. We see that in the book of Deuteronomy. I think it's 28 and 64, that he will scatter you into all 4 corners of the earth. You're going to go everywhere. It's still just 12 tribes. It's still just that one nation. You have been dispersed everywhere. So in Daniel, that's what he's talking about. If you are dispersed everywhere on the globe, that means you speak every language that there is. You look like every culture and every nation of people that exists. We often make the joke that there are going to be some Asian-looking Israelites. There are going to be some Caucasian-looking Israelites. There are going to be some Spanish and some African and whatever looking Israelites, but they are Israel by blood, not just by anything else. They're going to be Israelites. They're going to be keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. They're doing that now where they are. They're practicing and rehearsing the righteous acts here like we all should do. So in Daniel, when he says that it's going to be of all nations, and a kingdom that all people, nations, and languages should serve him, that's what he's talking about. Because it's only unto the children of Israel that the service of the Most High comes from. We're the only ones who are allowed to serve the Most High. Nobody else can. We see that in the book of Romans, chapter 9. It's either chapter 9 or chapter 11. I don't want somebody to think I'm lying. Romans 9 and yes. So Romans chapter 9 and start at verse 2. That I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart, for I could wish that myself were accursed from Hamashiach for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of Elohim and the promises. So we are the only ones who can serve the Most High. It's us, it's unto us that pertains the service. So when Daniel is talking about that, he gives you a clue, he gives you a hint. And he says, them who serve the Most High, we will serve the Most High. I'm sorry. So we're going to go from there. That was Daniel 7 and 14. Let's go. Let's continue on at 15. And it says, I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of the things. So here it is. One of these Malachs, one of these messengers, an angel, is about to explain to Daniel some of what he saw. Because remember, in 2nd Esdras, 2nd Esdras 12, 11 and 12, the angel says that Daniel was not given the full explanation. So this angel is about to explain to Daniel a piece of it. So verse 17. These great beasts, which are four kings. It's the same thing Ezra said. Which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. If you want to read that, that's in Isaiah chapter 14. Verse 19. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows, I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. All right, we're going to continue on verse 23. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them. So another king is going to come after those 10. And another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of times. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion, and the kingdom and the dominion, and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. So that kingdom that comes out of that, which will be the kingdom of Israel, the kingdom of the Most High that he sets up when his son comes back and corrects all of this, right? That kingdom will be forever. Verse 28, hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. So this is what this is what that is. This is what we are seeing now. This is what we are seeing. If there was ever any doubt that the US was not that country, was not Babylon the Great, was not the whore of Babylon, all of that should be gone now. We are seeing those times. We are seeing this. This is prophecy literally unfolding right in front of you. Literally right in front of you. We are seeing, this is unprecedented. And with that, that's the end of the lesson. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? Romans 9:2. Yes. I just saw the comment that you posted come up.
It wasn't a comment. You were reading it and I thought I had put it up there, but I hadn't. That was
No, and that's what I'm saying. That I read it, just seeing it and realized that's what you were doing.
okay.
So are there any questions? Okay, doke.
That was an awesome lesson. Hallelujah.
All right, Most High. With that, next Sabbath, Most High willing, we will continue on. We will continue on with the Torah portion. We will go back into it was Leviticus 13:1 through 16. Yes. So we will continue on that, Most High willing. But like I said, this was supposed to just be a sidebar, but the Most High like took it way right field.
But let me say this. I mean, you might see it as a sidebar, but this is something to edify the people, because the world is moving really quickly now in the prophecies and the things that are happening. That's why maybe after the next Shabbat, I'm gonna talk about, give you some wisdom that I've gathered over the years from old people who's been gone. But I want to say this: you ever wonder, have you ever asked yourself, why are we all caught up in the mix of this stuff? And if you really not really delve deep, but really ask the question to the Most High, and that He can give you insight. I used to ask this question a long time ago: why are we here? What are we doing? Why are we going through this, and blah, blah, blah. So, looking at scriptures, and I'm coming out of Isaiah 14, when Hashatan said, I will exalt my kingdom above the Most High. And the Most High was pretty much like, okay, I'm gonna allow you to do that. And you look at all these nations, you look at how they see us, you look at, and it's almost like the Most High has thrown us in the mix of this stuff when all this was going on in the Shamayim that we're unaware of. So I give you laws to keep. Okay, keep it down there so you can glorify me, blah, blah, blah. So Hashatan is supposed to raise up a kingdom here. So then when you were talking about the sun and all this other stuff, if you go back to Bereshit, Genesis, and look at every single thing that the Most High said that is good, that's what He's attacking. Just wanted to let you know. Including us. So then when He created Adam, He blew the Torah in him, the laws. Do we look like Adam or Hamashiach now? So then as He brings His kingdom up, and I'm talking about Hashatan, the adversary, he creates his own laws. He creates his own ways. But we were always taught that Yah's ways is higher than our ways, because He knew we were gonna adopt the ways of the earth. He knew that. The question is, can we come up out of that? So when I had that revelation almost 10 years ago that this is all, it's all set up before we even was thought of over here. But look at the laws and look at how the earth is. They had the first man that had a pig heart, and he's alive, which tells me about DNA. We won't go into that because we recorded. So
That's a nasty man.
Hallelujah. But I'm just telling you that look around you and all the things they're preparing for, but you already know the end. And so when it's time to move, the shofar will blow. And when the shofar is blown in the shamayins in the heavens, it is, the decree has already been issued. The question is, will you be able to hear it? And we need to know how to move. So that was timely. I appreciate you that you allow the Most High to lead you into that. I hope that everybody ingested and digested it. And hold on one second. I found that newscast. Somebody can put it in the chat for me. It's an Indian woman, and the name of it is, it goes GRAVITAS. And I think the call sign for that chat is WION, Indian News Service. She talks about some things that we don't even hear, including the US, and she's pretty accurate. And she's not afraid to tell it. So check her out. She is pretty cool. So, but anyway, that was beautiful. Hallelujah. I am edified. I'm ready to move. I yield the floor.
All praises to the Most High. Yeah, that was a lot. But yeah, so are there any other questions or comments or concerns before we let Elder Joseph pray out?
I was thinking the same thing when you said that pretty much how much more arrogant can you be? You create the sun, the moon, and the earth. And it made me think about, well, why not? They've already messed with the animals. They've already messed with the food sources. About everything he's created within the 6 days, they've already tampered with it. It's like they're creating their own 6 days. So, and now the new thing is the I can't think of the word, but we'll just say robots. And how evolved they're becoming now, to the point where they're installing consciousness in them to be able to think and operate like a human being, like his creation. So it's almost like they're just going through the book of Genesis and mimicking everything that he created.